Alright, hello everybody, this is Todd from Rated S Games, and I have never done an interview on this show before, so welcome to the very first interview. I just decided that I wanted to do this because I saw Combat Core show up on Kickstarter, and it looked like something that I absolutely wanted to play, so I figured that I would also get a chance to talk to the person behind it, who's actually with me here right now. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, my name's Micah. I'm the lead developer on Combat Core. I've been working on it for about 2 years. It's kind of like an influence for a lot of games that we haven't seen too much recently. Games like Power Stone on Dreamcast, Power Stone 2, and some of the only recent comparisons would be like Smash Brothers, where the game doesn't really play much like that, other than being a party brawler. But just trying to kind of bring some of that back. Big fan of local multiplayer games, even though I'll actually have online on it too. But that's what I grew up with, playing with siblings and friends in a room together, just punching each other's faces in. And I want to bring that back.
Yeah, it's weird. It feels weird to me because I feel like there must be so many people who feel as you do, especially in the industry of developers, and yet we don't see those games coming from the industry. It's bizarre.
Yeah, and there's kind of been a little resurgence. If you're up on the indie scene, games like Towerfall,
yeah, dude,
Gang Beasts, and like Samurai Gun was another one. And there's a little rise with the local multiplayer scene now for indie games, because it's like accessible for a lot of people, and there's not like this huge overhead where you have to have this huge studio to make something anymore. Like, for example, this entire game is mostly made by me. I've been working on it for about 2 years by myself. And I got a couple artists, Robert Porter and he got Alex Hyde to do some characters designs for me also. But they just do the 2D art, and I'm doing basically everything else. Like, I do all the animation, the modeling, the programming,
wow,
combat mechanics and everything, and playtesting.
You're doing all the playtesting by yourself?
Pretty much. I live with my sister's kids, and they help me play sometimes, but they're not. That's about all I got as far as, like, available playtesters.
Interesting. Okay, well, let's get into it. So, Combat Core, as people probably have seen, is a top-down 3D arena-style party brawler, which is a term that I love, and I don't really... People like to argue about, what Smash is it a fighting game, etc., and it's obviously a party brawler. Like, it's a thing, items, characters, not so much with the rigid mechanics. So games like that, there really aren't a lot of examples of those these days. I mean, there's some, as you mentioned, coming out of the indie scene. But so when you're making something new in this genre, what do you plan to bring back from the old stuff, from the past, and how much new stuff are you trying to add to the formula?
Yeah, when I was starting to like figure out what I wanted to make when I started making this, it was like, how can I make, like, I've been making fighting games on my own, like, little side projects and stuff for, like, since I was in, like, high school or something, and that was, like, 15 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah, this is, like, my first, like real indie commercial project that I'm trying to do on my own here. Like, I've worked at some other studios doing animation and stuff, but this is my first, like, all my own project. And, it's just, like, I was looking at, I want to make a fighting game because that's what I have experience in doing. That's what I know how to make. That's what I like to make and what I like to play. I was like, I don't want to compete with I can't compete with like Street Fighter, Tekken, that hardcore type of fighting game. It's like no one's really gonna. How can I stand out and still make a fighting game that I like? And how can I like approach some of these things that I like to be in and not have it like a super serious hardcore game, but still be fun and have solid fighting mechanics. So I was looking at games like Power Stone, and that's like something that hasn't really been touched in like 15 years. And every time somebody talks about they want to bring back something like whenever somebody talks about Capcom, like, oh, Capcom used to make great games. They wanted Power Stone 3 or like a new Rival Schools or something, and they haven't touched any of those kind of games in forever, and it sounds like they never will, even though they kind of poke at it sometimes. But I figured it was an opening for me to make something and try to fill that gap for some people.
Yeah, okay, nice. Yeah, I know people clamored for Capcom to re-release Darkstalkers, and they did, but it almost like immediately poofed, and they put it out, but it had no immediate following, like it didn't grow.
We put together this half-done port with the low-res sprites. We didn't actually like remake anything to make a true sequel. It's like, oh, nobody really wanted it. I guess no one likes Darkstalkers. Well, you didn't really put the effort in to make like something fresh, so.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. So, when you're talking about making something that can compete in this space, like of fighting games and brawlers, without being one of those more hardcore types of games, what do you think about Combat Core is going to make it stand out, beyond the fact that, people haven't really seen so much in the way of party brawlers in the last, like, decade?
All right, one of the big things that I kind of wanted from the get-go was the whole character customization part. Like, I was a big fan of the wrestling games on Nintendo 64, like WrestleMania 2000 and No Mercy, if anyone's played those games. And I used to play those games hours on end. I used to create like 50 characters in every game that had a creative character. I had like 20 characters from these stories that I made up, and I would make them in every game that had a creative character. I would make that whole roster. Like, I would make them in basketball games and football games and wrestling games. So when I started this game, I was like, I'm going to have a character editor, and that was one of the first things I had to actually. The main roster was like something I thought of afterwards. I was like, I'm going to have a character editor. People can just make their own people, because no one's really going to care about anybody that I make up. So I was like, they make their own characters. But later on, I got Rob on board to do the awesome character designs we have now, and that's really helped bring some appeal to it also. But that's a heavy influence of what makes this special from other games is the whole character customization part. Even if you pick one of like the pre-made characters, I have this thing where you pick your character and you also pick your core. So you have like a stat boost from the core that you pick, and it changes some of your moves. Some other parts that are like different from what's been done in the past, like I have like ragdoll physics for the attacks. Like, you don't really see that in fighting games. So it's like you hit people and they like flop around and use physics and stuff like that. Like, I was playing before I started, if you ever heard of an indie game called Overgrowth. Mm-hmm. I was also like, I was watching videos of that. I was like, oh, I love how they like implemented the ragdolls with the hits and the attacks and stuff. So I was like, I can kind of do something like that, but like not have it so much purely physics driven, but like sort of have some of that in there. And like Gang Beasts, like the same thing. Like that's a big draw for people. Just seeing the reactions and the things that happen due to the physics makes a unique experience on its own.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of I'm big into Smash, and I watched that gigantic Smash Bros. Documentary, and one of the commentators said, I don't really remember the quote exactly, but he basically said that Smash is like jazz, and it's a lot of improvising on the fly and making things up as you go. And I've had some time to play the current Combat Core demo that you have available on the Kickstarter for everyone to try for free, and I noticed that there was kind of a little bit of that jazz element that like you can make live combos based on how they bounce off the wall and interrupt your own stuff and things like that, so you can follow up in an interesting way. Did that just happen, or did you specifically want that combat system to exist in that fashion?
It's a little bit of both. Like, I have to like set up how long. Like, every attack has a specific stun time depending on if you knock them off their feet or not. And like I have like a set direction for the force to push them, like where they bounce. But because of the whole active physics issue, you don't really know where they're going to bounce all the time or what exactly is going to happen. So there's not a lot of like. Another thing I'm not a big fan of in fighting games is like dial-in combos where you can just like push your combo and then you're like guaranteed like a certain amount of damage. Like, I was trying to kind of mitigate some of that by making it unpredictable with the some of the physics, and it's like a lot of chances to like defend and recover out of things. Like, if you like, I don't know if you realize, but you can like, if you press, you can do like a tech recover. If you get ragdolled in the air, you can do a tech recover and stop most of the, like a follow-up attack or something. Like, I added a block mechanic, just different ways to approach defending, and then ways to escape attacks, but also like encouraging like close quarters combat just to be on top of people a lot, and then just see where it goes from there. I've done a lot of playtesting. Like I play it every day, and I am the QA team, so I kind of see how things are going, and if something doesn't feel right, I'll adjust a little bit, and then it's just this constant thing where I'm changing how a certain attack feels and the timing of everything. It just kind of shapes itself over time, I guess.
It's kind of funny, like you look at certain fighting games, like you brought up dial-in combos, and I love the way that Tekken looks, but I cannot play it because it is just so dang frustrating. Like, once someone's got that one hit confirm in, it just turns into like a 12-hit combo, and it just takes the fun out of it, I guess, you know, because it's so predetermined at that point, and it makes me sad to know that in a fight, there's a point where I could just put the controller down and nothing different would have happened. You know, the earlier that happens, the less interesting of a game you have, I feel. And so I love that about your game. I think that that's an awesome approach. I mean, that's why I like Smash so much, because, you know, you can be down 2 stocks, and, like, you know, it won't matter. If you're playing well and you kind of figure them out, bait out their mistakes, and suddenly the game is turned around.
Yeah, and there's a lot of chances to, like, change the momentum of the fight, and you can, like, you know, if you get a certain move off, then, you know, you're right back in it. It's not like, oh, well, I might as well hang it up because there's no way I'm coming back.
Exactly. So you mentioned earlier that you felt like the character editor is going to help the game stand out a lot. And I thought the same thing when I saw the older build. I was like, wow, you know, you had this built into the system already, you know, from quite a while ago. So it's clearly very important. But with Rob's designs for the new characters and potentially Alex Hodge's designs, which, by the way, Rob's designs are fucking amazing, are players going to be able to use the assets that comprise these characters in the editor? Or, you know, how's that visual aspect of the editor going to work?
The preset characters that we have from Rob and Alex will be, you can't use their visual assets. Like, they're an actual, like, full model. They're not made of, like, modular pieces like the created characters are. So you can't, like, take, like, Bruiser's hair or Pushi's hair and put it on somebody else.
Okay.
I'm gonna have separate assets for the created characters, but they all share. I'm not sure yet, but you can get some of their attacks at least. So it's like I might have 1 or 2 exclusive attacks for the character that you can't give to a custom, but they're gonna have some of those attacks that you can just give to a custom. Like I have, if you use the custom editor, you can select, like, you have 3 attacks. And 2 air attacks, a grab, and like a taunt, and that's pretty much your entire move set. And the other moves are from, like, weapon pickups and stuff like that. But basically, you can, like, mix and match different moves, and that'll be what your character fights like. Like, you can change their stance, you can change their 3 attacks, and some of those attacks might be the same attacks from the preset roster, but. It's kind of tough to balance, but I'm thinking I'm doing a pretty good job. I'm sure the people that play it and test it will tell me if something's broken.
Okay, cool.
They'll just spam it to death, and I'll find out myself. People will find out if something's overpowered, and they will use it. So yeah, the whole approach of the attacks is, instead of really balancing it per character, I balance it per attack. So, like, every attack has, like, an up and a downside. Like, a stronger attack will have a longer wind up, or, like, it'll take a certain amount of energy to actually execute even a normal attack or something.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, so you bring up the energy. So the energy system is tied into, like, the core system of Combat Core, which it's important. I mean, it's the second half of the title. So the energy thing, from what I understand, is you can use energy both to block and also to use core attacks. So could you expand a little bit more on that system?
Yeah. It's basically just like you said. You have, like, a certain amount of energy, and actually every character does not have the same energy pool. Like, some characters have a higher energy stat than others, and you use that to either block attacks. Like, when you get attacked, you can hold B for block to defense. And it'll absorb damage and take that damage and take away from your energy meter. If you run out of energy, it'll break their shield, and then they'll lose their defenses. At the same time, if you're trying to, like, be super defensive with turtling, you're going to be losing all your offense ability as well, because you can't throw the super attacks because you've been using all your energy on blocking. And when you throw if you have energy for super attacks, you can use a certain amount of energy for special attacks. And there's also a couple normal attacks that use energy sometimes too, is usually like projectiles, because I'm trying to like encourage people to not be like a play keep away game and just run away the whole time and throw things.
Mm-hmm.
So projectiles usually take a little bit of energy also, even if they're not core attacks. Another thing that we added since the last demo is the orb pickups. Now they're when you hit people, like you see these white orbs flying out of them, and when you pick them up, they actually increase your passive regeneration for energy. So it's like, when I got Rob on board, that was actually his idea. He was like, there's no reason to really traverse around the stage a lot, so you have to hit people and all these orbs go out the different directions, and you have a reason to like move to different parts of the stage. And that also kind of points to how Power Stone was when you're fighting over those stones. So you're fighting over these orbs, even though they're not, as strong as the Power Stones, where you just turn into this god mode, but they keep your energy up. If you have a bunch of them, that character's going to be a lot tougher to take out, because they can block a lot longer, they can throw a lot more supers if they have those orbs, but they're constantly like getting knocked out of the other guy, and you're constantly grabbing them. So it kind of there's a battle there also to like take control of the orbs.
Okay, yeah, that seems smart. Getting people to move around for specific reasons. Like, that's one of the things, as you were saying, like with Power Stone or Smash, they're either very contained maps, or there are reasons to see all these different parts of the maps. And looking at the stage designs, as you bring it up, what are some of the aspects of the game that are emphasized through the level design that other than the orbs?
The level design is also always a work in progress. The first stage is kind of like the one that I kind of like set as this is how big I would like a stage to be like normally, like as far as the size of it. As far as the mechanics, like a lot of the level design right now is based on mechanics. I've seen a lot of people say like, it doesn't really look that fascinating. It's got like this VR motif. That's actually one of our stretch goals, to like make character themed stages. And admittedly, I'm not really like the greatest character environment artist in the world, so Rob's actually going to help with character environment designs if we reach that stretch goal too.
Oh wow!
And but the current stages we have, like the first stage, is really centered around that pool in the middle, and that's like it's like a regeneration pool in the middle. So. And it's like a really tight space in there, so people can't just camp in there. So you go in there, and if everyone wants to be in there, they're going to be like an arm's length and beating up each other if they try to get in there just to get energy back. It's not really a safe area to be in. I have like different things scattered around the stage to like provide like cover from projectiles and like weapons that are being thrown and stuff. And that's kind of what stage 1 is. Like, that's the big spacious environment with like cover. The second stage is that circular one with the spinning area in the middle. That's a lot tighter, and there's not a lot of places to hide in that stage. So that's kind of like it's a lot more hectic, and people are like always within reach in that stage. That's kind of what I was going for there. It's a lot smaller. The third one's a big favorite with a lot of people. It has like that green ring, and it has like explosive ropes on the side. So if you get ragdolled into those ropes, it does more damage to you. That's like the most interactive stage.
Okay.
That one's not in the demo, but I have a couple like animated stuff, and I think it's in the video too. But those ropes on the side actually like blow up if people get knocked into them, and that area outside the ring has like explosive floors. Like if you step down there, it takes like a second or two before like this pillar like blows up from the ground and it hurts you. So if you keep moving, they'll just keep blowing up behind you. But if someone like starts fighting you out there, you're gonna get blown up. So it's like people are trying to fight and stay inside the ring, but then you get knocked out the ring constantly, and I think it's a lot of people have liked that stage. So.
Yeah. I mean, you look at you look at Smash, or the newest one. A lot of people complain about the stage bosses and the hazards, and sometimes it's like, oh, okay, well, hazards are great or hazards are bad, depending on who's saying what. So, from a designer's standpoint, how do you like you want the game, you want to be a party brawler, but you also want it to kind of appeal to fighting game people. So how do you balance that? Like, do you make 2 versions of each map, or just like fuck the haters and move on with your life, or what?
Yeah, that's kind of a balance that I'm always trying to stay with. I don't want to lean too far on the chaotic side, like the hectic nonsense stuff, like you don't know what killed you and just random things are killing you. I don't want that to happen. But we actually have a extra modes goal, stretch goal, where we're gonna kind of add some of that zany, off the wall stuff. But the base game is more toward the combat mechanics, and most of the environment interaction is caused by another player knocking you into the environment, or it's like it doesn't happen on its own or by chance. It's caused by other people making you fly into these things, and then you have a chance to defend against it 90% of the time. There's some way to avoid that damage.
So it's more tactical.
Yeah.
Okay. So speaking of the stretch goals, I saw, like you were saying, that one of the goals is these different modes, and on the list you've got survival mode, tag mode, zone defense, chibi mode, custom rules, and extra announcer voices. I mean, that is a lot of really awesome stuff. I mean, are these the sort of things that you've already put a lot of thought into and fleshed out?
No, we were thinking about these things for a long time, but it's like,
it's work.
Yeah, it is work, and we still have to finish the base game, so we don't want to spend a lot of time working on these extra little fun things on the side. I know in the demo I actually have the low gravity mode in there. I don't know if you tried that or not, but it's just like the gravity's like you're on the moon or something, so everyone jumps like super high and floats down, and that can cause all kinds of crazy situations and changes the mechanics quite a bit just from that little change. But the other modes is like survival mode is like you would just like have an endless wave of enemies coming at you to try to get your high score. Chibi mode is like I have a system built into the character creation thing where you can scale the parts of their body already. So it's like I can set this up in a way where I can like make everyone have giant heads and tiny bodies, and, like change the physics a little bit in some of the hitboxes, and then you can have a chibi mode.
That's it. So you can already change like the different parts of their bodies' sizes independent of each other?
Yes. That's in the character editor. If you've looked at like you can change their arm size and like their head size and their chest. So you can make like different. I don't have like preset body types. I have male and female, and then you can like make them taller, shorter, like skinnier, big arms, big legs, and skinny chest. But yeah, you can do all that kind of stuff, like huge arms, tiny lower body. It's all possible, and that's something I've had in there since the beginning.
Okay, then, and were there any like goals for extra editor stuff, or no? I don't know if I saw that.
I don't have a specific goal for extra character editor stuff. I'm just kind of adding them as I go.
Okay.
So it's just like, I have more resources. I can keep adding new hair, head, face. I have reward goals where you can have you can like put your own face in there if you have a character you want. And you could put in, like, I can have your own character, like, split into parts for the character editor, so you can make that specific head.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, and looking at the voice, the voice talent, you got some pretty well-known people doing, the main characters. Did you have a voice, do you have voices for the editor characters?
Yeah, that's fine. All characters will have voices. I don't have those recorded yet, because I don't have funding yet. But as far as the voices as a whole, after I got Rob on board, he referred me to Chris Nyosi, who's the character and voicing director that we have, and he has connections with all these voice actors, and he hooked me up with a lot of these other guys that I got to do voices for the characters that we have so far, and they've just been. He's been awesome to work with. We got some really good voice talent in, and we're really happy with what he's helped with. There will be more voices to come in the future.
Dude, I gotta be honest, man. I hope that that you get to the story mode, because I would love to see some of these ridiculous characters. Like, I mean, I look at like what's his name, Squaz, and what is his history? What could possibly be his story? Like, he came from a different planet where everybody was like, "Yo, neon afros are totally in vogue right now," or what?
Squaz is kind of special because he's the one and only character that I requested Rob to have. You can probably guess why.
Dude, I feel you, man. I look at him like I'm like, I wish I looked like that. Like wish my afro was green and it contained itself neatly like that.
When Rob was started, when Rob got up, but I was like, I need one guy. I was like, I need an afro guy in there.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's
the last character that he designed. Like, yes.
Okay, so other than Squaz, like all of these are, like originally these all Rob's brainchildren.
Yeah, pretty much. I was just like, I gave him a theme. I was like, this is like a futuristic arena sports style, like Dragon Ball Z Power Stone fighting game, and he just rolled with that, and he did an awesome job. So.
That is super duper cool. So was there anything else that you wanted to bring up about the game?
Not in particular. A lot of people have been asking about that PlayStation 4 missing on the campaign. I just wanted to kind of address that and say I would like to have it on PlayStation 4, but I'm not approved on the Sony Indie Developer Program yet. I'm trying to get in contact with Sony. They turned me down last year because basically I'm a guy working from home, and they're like, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
We need real companies making real games. Hopefully that situation will change. But yeah, I want to get it on PS4. If I can, I will. Other than that, yeah, back to Game on Kickstarter. I would love support.
All right, everybody. Well, that's Combat Core. This is, this is if you play Power Stone 2, you play Smash, and you like something, else like those games, and you're like me, and you like to have friends over to play games. I can get people to play like Towerfall and Smash. That's pretty much it. So, I have as many games that fit this nature as I possibly could, and I'd still want something more that that would appeal to more people. So if you want something like that, definitely check out Combat Core. It's on Kickstarter. I feel like the goal is pretty reasonable, and what you're getting like at the base level is pretty solid. So you can try out the demo. It's free. It's got 2 main characters, and you can already do all of the editor stuff. And like you don't even have to worry if the game's gonna work, because mechanically speaking, everything is already solid. Like with the Kickstarter game, the concern is like, is this idea even going to work? Period. But the idea already works. He just we just got to get all the monies to finish the rest of the game. So, Micah, thank you for joining me on my very first Rated S interview. I hope it wasn't too miserable. I hope you had fun.
Great. Thank you for having me.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for checking this out, and I'll have the link to the Kickstarter in the description, as well as on the screen right now, through the magic of editing. And I'll also have a link to the demo so you guys can give it a try. Thanks for watching, everyone.
All right. Thank you.